Man, what is going on? After the tremendous success that was Blunder's actual OU tier list, which was the only real OU tier list ever created, but after the amazing success of that video, I got a lot of great support. I had a lot of fun making that video as well. It motivated me to make even more competitive videos, so I wanted to do this video on Magearna. I think Magearna is broken and unhealthy in the OU metagame, so I figured why not just talk about it and make a video about it, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has this opinion. But yeah, I've been saying Magearna's been broken for a very long time now. I think right after the Metagross ban, which was in early 2017, I still thought Magearna was broken because I was just like, in my head, I was like, whatever, ban Magearna too. That's just special Metagross, because in reality, it really is similar to special Metagross, or like a special version of Mega Metagross, and I'll touch on that later on in the video. But yeah, so Magearna, one of the biggest threats in OU, in my opinion, probably the biggest threat just because of the sheer versatility in all of its sets. It's crazy because Magearna can only hit from the special side, but the fact of the matter is that it has access to way too many good moves, way too much possible Z moves, stuff like that. Magearna also is able to fit on almost every single team, which is a huge problem to me, just because it's such a easy to put on mon. It really reminds me of Genesect in that way, like you're able to throw it on many teams. But Magearna is even more so than Genesect, because this thing can be extremely defensive in the form of AV. As you can see here, this is like the most common AV set, but you can even tech so many different moves on here. In the past, I've even teched Explosion on here to explode on Volcarona, because Magearna is actually able to take +1 Fire Blast, because Assault Vest Magearna is such a bulky mon. I mean, this set isn't broken at all, but it's just an amazing set, and it's pretty crazy that Magearna can be one of the strongest offensive threats in the entire game with a simple setup Z move set, or it can run AV and be one of the bulkiest Pokemon that's here, and one of the premier switch-ins to stuff like Alakazam, Ladia, stuff like that. It's crazy to me that Magearna can flip the script like so quickly, and that mainly comes from it having one of the best typings in the game. I think Steel Fairy is like up there, top 3 typings in the game, because in general Steel is amazing, Fairy is also amazing. I say Steel Ghost is the only typing that's maybe better. But yeah, back to why I think Magearna is broken. So offensive Magearna is the real problem here to me. I think there's just too much versatility here. It has way too many good moves. This is the #1 set I think that I like to run, but you can run a whole different types of moves on here. So I run Shift Gear, Flare Cannon, Focus Blast, and T-Bolt at Farium Z. Now the reason you run Farium Z is basically for the Pokemon that are hit neutrally by Focus and T-Bolt. You want to get that really strong hit off. So Flare Cannon is usually really good at knocking out stuff like Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele, stuff like that. You need that extra punch, Clefable, stuff like that. So that's why I run Farium Z a lot of the time. Yuoko Lando as well. But you can run Z Focus Blast with Fightinium Z to knock out Heatran and Ferrothorn, or Z Thunderbolt to get past Celesteela and Toxapex. And so it's really easy to just tech the Z move on your Magearna that you need for your specific matchup and just go from there. Like, you can really tech on so many different Z moves, and Shift Gear doesn't even only run these 3 moves. You can run Ice Beam, you can run Flash Cannon, you know, stuff like that. And it really, you can tailor make Magearna basically to whatever your team needs at the time. And that's crazy because well, we know Magearna has one of the greatest offensive move pools ever. I mean, this thing has access to everything: Energy Ball, Flare Cannon, Focus Blast, Ice Beam, and then defensively it has a lot of good options as well. Volt Switch is an amazing tech for a mon like this to have, because its typing is amazing. It's able to switch into everything, and then it's able to Volt Switch to keep up momentum, which is one of like the best things it can ask for. But it can even use Pain Split to act as defensive mon on stall teams, as well as to completely disassemble stall. I think I have the Calm Minds Pain Split set right here. So I used to even ladder with this set a lot, and this thing would just shit on stall 6-0. Stall absolutely cannot defeat this set because Z Flare Cannon destroys Quagsire, and in general this thing is able to tank pretty nicely. But I mean, there are different variations of EVs and stuff. The point is, you can really tailor make your Magearna for any matchup and fit it on any team. So I think it's way too easy to put on teams, which is the first problem. The fact that it's way too easy to custom make this Pokemon for whatever team you want means you always, as like someone playing against Magearna, you oftentimes have no idea what the opponent's Magearna has until it's too late. And I found that this was the exact problem with Metagross as well. So when Mega Metagross was banned 2 years ago, the big problem that I had with Mega Metagross is that it had way too many good moves: Ice Punch, Meteor Mash, then Headbutt, Pursuit, Thunder Punch, Earthquake. They were even running HP Fire for Scizor, Stealth Rock. This thing had way too many options, and it was able to hit the metagame hard. Like, the entire metagame was able to be hit super effective by Metagross, and the Pokemon was already so strong: Tough Claws boost, all that good stuff. And oftentimes, you're switching around all your Pokemon thinking, okay, which one of my Pokemon is able to wall this Metagross that's just crushing everything? And then by the time you find out that, oh, you know, this Pokemon can kind of switch in, it's too late. It's already done too much work. I find that to be the exact same case with Magearna. Metagross could only hit on the physical side, but it was still so much of a threat that only Scizor could deal with it. Magearna is similar. It only hits from the special side, but you can tailor make this thing to deal with like all of its counters. Chansey, Blissey type mons get destroyed by Calm Mind, Pain Split. I mean, I feel like the best counter to Magearna in OU is like Spadef, Camerupt. And obviously that's not that good of a Pokemon. That's a very niche pick that would only be used because of the threat Magearna is. Well, that's like the only thing in my mind that could, you know, maybe take on Magearna. And even that's probably not enough. Let that thing come in on rocks 1 or 2 times and then +1 Z Focus Blast probably knocks that shit out immediately. And that's the crazy part. Magearna is able to circumvent all of its counters like so easily with just 1 or 2 turns. Just get up rocks, get up a Shift Gear or a Calm Mind, and then blow your Z move, and it's over. It's over. Now here's another problem I have with Magearna. This Pokemon's moves are a little too good for the same reason Metagross's moves were a little too good. So like I said, Metagross used to use Ice Punch, then Headbutt, Thunder Punch, Meteor Mash. What do all those moves have in common? They all have a secondary effect of hacks. Meteor Mash can raise your attack, Ice Punch and Thunder Punch can freeze and paralyze respectively, and Zen Headbutt can flinch. Sounds kind of familiar with Magearna because it uses Ice Beam and Thunderbolt on so many of its sets, and so many times this thing has won battles because it paralyzes, Toxapex trying to haze it, paralyzes its way through Celesteela, and Magearna is an extremely bulky, hard to kill Pokemon. Even super effective Earthquakes and Flamethrowers won't kill this thing. So bulkier Pokemon like Toxapex and Celesteela obviously have a tough time killing it because of its natural bulk. And then Magearna is able to spam these moves, and then a lot of the time it gets the necessary hacks. I won an important quarterfinals match a while ago because my opponent was trying to beat my Magearna with his Toxapex, and he had leftovers and everything, but I just kept clicking Thunderbolt. He kept having to recover. I paralyzed it, got the full para, set up on it, and then the odds were in my favor because he was paralyzed and I took it. And yeah, so I think that's another thing. I mean, that's not like, oh shit, it's broken. I mean, any Pokemon get hacks, but I'm saying Magearna gets much better chances to hacks than a lot of these other Pokemon because it's so easy to throw out attacks with Magearna when it's so naturally bulky and it's so hard to kill. You know what I mean? So that's another thing. That was one of the big things, comparisons I had to it with Metagross. It has a lot of the same moves, and a lot of the time you have to switch around between too many Pokemon trying to figure out what this thing is doing. Another thing you got to keep in mind with Magearna is that, like I said earlier, it can fit on almost every single team structure. This thing can fit on bulky offense. It can fit on stalls. I have a Magearna stall. I have Magearna bulky offense. I got Magearna rain. I got Magearna sand. Not to mention it fits on all types of hyper offense and like, you know, like cheese strategies. HO in particular, like Tapu Koko screens with Focus Sash Landorus, loves to have Magearna on it. In fact, I used a Magearna team in Smogon Tour playoffs. Let me show you. Hold up. Let me find the team. I'll search for Zygarde because I'll probably find it easier that way. But let me find that team. It's kind of old. But here we go. TDK screens. So this team, your basic screens, Coco gets up the screen, and then look at this Magearna behind screens. This shit is such a menace to take on. Shift Gear, Calm Mind, T-Ball, Ice Beam under screens. So already Magearna is impossible to kill, but then screens go up and it's even harder, and it's impossible to kill on the special side because you got Calm Mind boosting as well. So imagine Magearna with a light screen up, Calm Mind up, and then Electric Terrain up. You just 2-hit KO Heatran with Thunderbolt and you don't take anything from their attack. That's the thing. Magearna is so quickly able to circumvent all counters. I think Tapu Koko is the most broken partner for it too, because it powers up its electric move, and powering up Magearna's T-Ball is really nice because it lets it muscle past all the things that soft check it, Peck, Celesteela, Heatran, etc. And yeah, it's also a good screens partner, but that's a discussion for a different day. Oh, I guess no, it's not. I'll talk about it right now. Magearna benefits from every single Tapu Pokemon's existence, which is crazy. Tapu Koko. Okay, so Tapu Koko obviously keeps it immune to sleep. Which is like whatever. I mean, it does that for a lot of Pokemon. But other than that, it powers up the Z Electric and just the T-Bolt in general. It's also just a perfect partner for screens. Tapu Bulu lets Magearna get Grassy Terrain Recovery, which makes it even harder to kill. Tapu Fini obviously protects it from status. And then Tapu Lele, I guess, I don't know, helps it wall Scizor. That's the only thing I can think of. Helps it wall Scizor, because then, yeah, Scissor's walled if it can hit it with Bullet Punch. But that's not really important. But yeah, the big three were Fini, Bulu, and Koko. Those things really help Magearna, similarly to how they used to help Metagross, and I really just can't help but keep seeing the similarities between these two. But yeah, anyway, this is a screens team that my boy TDK gave me, and it worked really well because Magearna, as we know, is just such a potent threat on screens with the Double Dance set. The set I showed, hold up, this one, Shift Gear, Calm Mind right here. Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Metronome. Yep, that was the one. I also used Shift Gear, Calm Mind, Flare Cannon, Focus Blast with Z Fairy, which I was able to use in a tournament game and also win pretty easily with. It actually didn't even come out, but I had a 6-0 if I ever brought it out. So basically, my problems with Magearna is that it takes way too much time before you find out exactly what's about to happen with this Pokemon. You can always be like, oh, I know it's offensive Magearna, but you don't know what its Z move is. You don't know what all of its moves are either. You don't know if it's Double Dance. You don't know if it's just Calm Mind, just Shift Gear. The items it can run are really frustrating as well, because if it's not running Z move, it can run, Shuka Berry, Ice Beam. It can run Papa Berry with the setup set to get some HP back behind screen, stuff like that. All in all, this Pokemon has really just been giving me a lot of trouble since it came into the metagame. The coverage is way too good as well. Way too many setup options, Calm Mind, Trick Room, Shift Gear. And then let's not even forget this thing's ability, Special Moxie. But it's better than Moxie because if a Pokemon even gets sacked in front of you, you get +1. What is going, like, that ability is so ridiculously broken. So ridiculously broken. So hard is impossible. Like, that's why this mon is such a threat. You get one kill, you just sweep through a team. I've always said that Magearna is like the dumb player's dream mon, because I've seen so many high-level tournament games where a player just messes around for 20 turns, plays himself into like an awful position, and then Shift Gear Magearna comes out, sets up a Shift Gear, and because he has the right 3 moves, it's done. He has like the Tech Flash Cannon, it's done. Like, it's crazy. You can just have the right 3 moves, Shift Gear at any time, because Magearna's natural bulk allows it to live almost every single neutral hit, and then you can just, sweep. And it's really hard to take on Magearna. So, yeah, it's very capable of setting up, even multiple times in a game. Way too much good offensive and defensive capabilities, and it has way too many different, it just has way too many viable sets. Very hard to get Revenge Kill it, and it's like very hard to find a Pokemon that's a good long-term counter. Because again, unless you're running Stall, this thing is really good at chipping down all its counters. And if you are running Stall, you run the risk of running into Pain Split Z move, which will also 6-0 you. So, all in all, Magearna, yeah, I think I'd ban this mon if I could. I think it's really annoying. I think it's really broken. I just wanted to talk about the top mons. I'll probably do a vid on Greninja and Landorus, what I think about those. But as for now, man, I think Magearna is broken. But as long as it's in the tier, I'm going to keep abusing it. I'm going to keep having fun with it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys agree or disagree. What other Pokemon / competitor type vids you want me to do. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.